just looking for the beauty. It's just part of our experience and seeing that it's not there. I mean, initially, of course, if we don't have any experience, then a lot of this is very intellectual. That's where we need to start, it's not easy. It's not easy.
It's like I know it's how I see that.
Sorry?
I don't know the emptiness, I don't know the experience of emptiness yet, maybe.
Sure.
So I know that this is my point of view, how I look at it.
That the beauty's there, you mean, or what?
Yes, I know that I look not,
Sure.
not in a way that is right.
Correct. So that's the starting point. If you don't know that, you're just going to believe the beauty's there, you're going to have attachment and get caught up. So this is the first step. So that's why even in some of the Indian texts, they say even doubting the way things exist like shakes the world. So even merely having some doubt that, oh, maybe things are not really like that, already that's like a big step. Yeah, that's a big step. I mean, that's much more than most of the people on this planet get to. Most people on this planet never get to that step, ever, in their whole life.
Can I ask something about Bodhisattva?
Yeah, sure.
What kind of special abilities or powers does Bodhisattva?
Powers. I want lots of powers. Actually, it's not so much the Bodhisattva. I mean, when we have a direct realization of emptiness, that brings a lot of ability. But even before that, actually in the Shamatha practice, we can develop a lot of ability. Particularly, in this retreat we talked about the Shamatha is a particular level of concentration. In the Theravada they talk about these jhanas, which are sort of the next level up. And particularly what's called the first jhana, that level, if you can develop that level, the Buddha's assertion is it's quite easy from that state to develop the ability to read people's minds, to do clairvoyance, to do to remote viewing, what's called, to see things at a distance, to remember your past lives, and to start to be able to have some ability to manipulate material matter. That's just from Shamatha. On top of that, realizing emptiness directly, that purifies the mind, then we can go into a whole lot of other abilities. And then, of course, if you go into Tantra and you become what's called Vidyadhara, where you gain access to the very subtle mind, then there's a whole lot of other things you can do. So Shamatha, Vipassana and Vajrayana you can develop these abilities in these different ways.
Are there people who are known to living right now who reach this stage?
Yeah. Usually, again, they don't go out in public and say, "Oh, look what I can do." But yeah, there is. I'm sure. Yeah, there is, and I've sort of seen a little bit of that, but not much.
I had a different question, but in just what he was talking about, there's also people, how can I say it, with high abilities but wrong view. Correct,
because this ability in Shamatha, you don't need right view to develop Shamatha. You don't need the view of emptiness for Shamatha. It's not Buddhist even. It's not a Buddhist practice, Shamatha.
Yeah.
So many traditions you can develop Shamatha. And in fact, Milarepa, who's considered to be the greatest yogi in the history of Tibet, what happened was his family or his uncle or something cheated him and his mother out of their house and stuff, and so he wanted to take revenge on all his extended family. So he went off and developed these capacity and basically ended up killing everyone in the village by causing some big storm or earthquake to wipe out a village. So he killed like 30 of his relatives deliberately. And then he saw the error of his ways, and then he went off and followed the Buddhist path and purified that and achieved enlightenment. So you don't have to be a Buddhist to develop all these abilities.
Yeah. I have another question. What about action, which is, let's say, towards the virtuous side of things, but the motivation is not so good?
Yeah.
Like,
so, yeah. I mean, there's a lot to say here, but to keep a brief answer, one of the most important elements in what we do is motivation. Not the only one, but this is key. That's why on the Mahayana path, all of the actions we do are very powerful because we have the bodhicitta motivation. I mean, that's a massive motivation. So, you know, if you do your actions based on that motivation, they create very big results. But equally well, if you have a very heavy negative motivation, that creates big negative results. So motivation is one of the key factors. So, you know, if you do a certain virtuous action with a motivation, people will think I'm special, versus you do the same action with really the motivation of helping the other person, that action is going to create much bigger result, much bigger. But still, even with a selfish motivation, doing a good thing will still produce a good result, but much smaller than if you have a much more...
but it will not strengthen the self-grasping?
Right, but I'm just talking about now the virtuous action. The virtuous action is self-motivated by selfishness. That virtuous action will still give a good result, but very small. I mean, the selfish motivation, doing it will strengthen it, which means later, because of that stronger selfish motivation, we start harming people later, because it's much stronger now.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's okay to do good things with the selfish motivation. I mean, try to reduce it as much as possible. Yeah, last question.
Does Buddhism think that you can achieve enlightenment through other paths other than Mahayana path?
The Buddhist assertion, do you need to be a Buddhist to achieve enlightenment? No, but the Buddhist assertion is you need really the two main things. You need the motivation for enlightenment, and you need the wisdom of emptiness. So if you don't have those two things, the motivation for enlightenment and the correct view of reality, then you won't achieve it. Can you achieve those motivation and wisdom of emptiness outside of Buddhism? Oh, I think so, sure.
Doesn't that preclude people who believe in God from it?
Depends what you mean by God.
Because doesn't a belief in a creator mean that you don't really see emptiness?
Well, I think generally of course, in Christianity, if you believe in a creator, redemption is only found in heaven. As a person, you just try to be a good person. That's it. You can't find redemption in this life. It's only if you believe in God and be a good person, then you find it in heaven, because you end up there. Whereas the Buddhist assertion is, of course, that where we end up is really determined by what we do, and we can achieve this liberation in this life from suffering. Okay, let's stop there. It's enough for one day, I think. And so again, we'll just finish with the Shavasana meditation. And actually, before we start, then just tomorrow. For tomorrow, the schedule. So tomorrow the schedule is the same before breakfast. So Sippy's doing the yoga still, and David's doing the meditation. So the schedule will be the same before breakfast, and then silence will finish at the end of the meditation, so you can have a chat over breakfast. And then I think 8:30, Dharma friends have got a session upstairs. To talk about lots of things, and then after that there'll be a short 15-minute break, and then we'll come back here, and then I'll do my last session, and I'll talk a lot about how to integrate a lot of these things into life, and just some general advice as well. So, and that should take us up to about 12 o'clock, and we finish there tomorrow.
So quickly. So quickly.
So quickly. Time flies when you're having fun. Okay, let's do the Shavasana meditation.